We now come to the motion on tribunal and inquiries. I call Minister Gareth Bacon to move.
Thank you very much, Madam Deputy Speaker. I beg to move that the committee has considered the Tribunal Procedure Upper Tribunal Immigration and Asylum Seeker Amendment Rules 2024. This instrument forms part of the Government's preparations for the implementation of the Illegal Migration Act 2023, which I will hereafter refer to as the IMA. The statutory instrument delivers the tribunal procedure rules necessary to implement the new appeals regime for suspensive claims already approved in Parliament in sections 44 to 49 of the Illegal Migration Act. The rules have been drafted to give effect to the timings set out in the IMA. Exceptionally under the IMA, in order to provide for swift implementation, section 50 provides that the Lord Chancellor, instead of the TPC, is responsible for making the first set of rules for the Upper Tribunal Immigration and Asylum Chamber for the purposes of suspensive claims under sections 44 to 49 of the IMA. And this reflects Parliament's recognition of the importance of implementing the Act rapidly to tackle illegal migration. As the Lord Chancellor's power to make rules has now been spent with the laying of this SI, going forwards, the Tribunal Procedure Committee retains its rule-making powers and will be able to amend or replace these rules as it deems appropriate under its usual procedures. We've kept the TPC fully informed throughout our work to prepare the draft rules, and we also understand that the TPC will review these rules in due course as part of its priority to keep all 9 sets of tribunal procedure rules and employment tribunal procedure rules under constant review. Before I conclude, Madam Deputy Speaker, this is the last time that I will address the House from the dispatch box as a Justice Minister this side of the election. And on that basis, and I hope you'll indulge me, I'd like to thank all of the officials and special advisers that I've worked with in my time as a Parliamentary Under Secretary of State at the Ministry of Justice, particularly Harry McNeill-Adams, Andrew Spence, Molly Parsons-O'Connor, Claire Fielder, Christina Pride, Catherine Elkington, Tim Coates, Amy Rees, Ross Gribbin, Gemma Hewinson and Jenny Pickrell. I'd also like to thank the excellent special advisers Sally Rushton, Rupert Cunningham and Hannah Galley. And finally, and most importantly, I would like to thank my private secretaries who've worked tirelessly to keep me organised and on the straight and narrow, and they are Charlotte Hewitt, Andrea Benjamin, Imogen Jailer and Naomi Hartley. And to you, Madam Deputy Speaker, you have been a beacon of fairness and good humour in the chair throughout my time in this House, and I would like to wish you well in your retirement. You will be much missed by this House, and the House will be the poorer without you. Yeah. To conclude, Madam Deputy Speaker, these rules will come into force upon commencement of the duty to remove under Section 2 of the Legal Migration Act. The Lord Chancellor laid this SI on the 1st of May in preparation for this, having already laid the Civil Legal Aid Remuneration Amendment Regulations 2023 and the Civil Legal Aid Financial Resources and Payment for Services and Remuneration Amendment Regulations 2023 late last year. By doing so, the SI will be in place should the decision be taken after the election to proceed with the swift implementation of the IMA. And on that basis, I beg to move.
The question is, as on the order paper. Shadow Minister Kevin Brennan.
Well, thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker, and I can see, following my earlier remarks, I'm not the only fan you have in this chamber, but I'm sure I speak for everyone in again reiterating that we wish you well in what you do. And we are also joined by the former Prime Minister, the Right Honourable Lady for Maidenhead, and we thank her for her exemplary public service in her time in this place. And my honourable friend, dear friend, the Honourable Member for Camberwell and Peckham, the mother of the House, who has had an extraordinary career as a Labour politician and a former, briefly, all too briefly in my view, leader of our party. And I thank her for her service to the Labour Party, for Parliament and to our country. This statutory instrument it governs one of the very few parts, actually, of the Prime Minister's so-called signature immigration legislation. The Illegal Migration Act have actually been enacted. Most of the key clauses, including the duty to remove those arriving without permission, have not been enacted because the government, I think, knows deep down inside really that the bill is a bit of a sham, the second of 3 bills designed to tackle, but failing to tackle the small boats chaos under their watch. We opposed the Illegal Migration Act because We warned it wouldn't work, and the government's reluctance to enact any of its key provisions show that we were right to do so. The provisions in today's SI govern the appeal procedure relating to removals under the Act, but no such removals are even occurring, as the duty to remove hasn't even been enacted, Madam Deputy Speaker. So the truth is that the government's lost control of our border security. They've allowed criminal gangs to take hold of the channel and dangerous boat crossings to soar, lost control of the asylum system, allowing decisions to collapse, and the backlog to rocket to a record high, with record numbers of people in asylum hotels, costing the taxpayer an eye-watering £8 million a day. And meanwhile, yesterday's statistics show that they've let returns and enforcement crumble too, with returns of failed asylum seekers down 35% compared to the last Labour government. So we'll strengthen our border security and fix the asylum chaos. We'll crack down on the criminal gangs and their supply chains to stop the boats before they reach the French coast. And we'll set up a new border security command backed by new resources and counter-terrorist style powers to bring these gangs to justice and clear the backlog with new fast-track procedures for safe countries and end asylum hotel use to save the taxpayer billions of pounds, and strengthen enforcement with a new returns and enforcement unit. We don't intend to divide the House today, Madam Deputy Speaker, but the British public will have their chance to have a say on the 4th of July, a choice between gimmicks from the Tories or strong border security and real grip from Labour.
SNP spokesperson Kirsty Blackman.
Thank you very much, Madam Deputy Speaker. I made some comment yesterday, but just briefly I would like to say thank you for your time in the chair. It is the case that whenever I have made a reasonable request, you have either granted it or given me very good reason for the fact that it wasn't a reasonable request in the first place. So I do really appreciate that. The SNP have got, as we have laid out on numerous occasions, many issues with the UK government's immigration policies, many issues with the UK government's Rwanda policy. We fundamentally disagree with the decision-making processes that are happening here. We fundamentally disagree with the ideology that is happening. We can say from the SNP's benches, we can say on behalf of the people of Scotland, this is not being done in our name. The people of Scotland fundamentally disagree with this. You can see what happened in Kenmure Street in Glasgow a couple of years ago, where the people of Glasgow, on behalf of the people of Scotland, stood up for one of our own who was being taken away. It does not matter where that person was born. It does not matter to us. If somebody wants to come and be part of Scottish society, if they want to come and live in our country, if they want to contribute to Scotland, if they want to bring their skills, their talents, their culture, all of that is welcome in Scotland, and this is not being done in our name. I understand that this is part of the government preparations in relation to the Rwanda bill, which, again, we have disagreed with at every possible stage. It is so disappointing, Madam Deputy Speaker, that the Labour Party are using the same rhetoric and playing the same game as the Tories on this, that they are talking about small boats at every opportunity, when actually what they should be doing is talking about the issues that actually matter to people. They are fundamentally misunderstanding the views of the public in Scotland. People in Scotland are not waking up every morning worrying about small boat crossings. They are waking up every morning worrying about the cost of living crisis. They are waking up every morning worrying about that. This is not the biggest issue. They are thinking about the cost of living crisis. They are thinking about the NHS. They are thinking about their daily lives, and they are supportive of immigration policies that allow people to come. One of the good things about the general election being called is that the changes to the graduate visas can't be implemented. The MAC report actually said that the graduate visas should continue, but we had no faith, understandably, in this Tory government that they would allow that to happen. The changes in relation to dependents are going to cause a significant impact on so many places, particularly when it comes to universities, a number of whom might actually go under as a result of the decisions that are being made by the UK Tory government. We've got a history in Scotland of opposing Tory immigration policy. We've got a history in Scotland of opposing these crackdowns that simply demonise innocent people who are trying to escape unimaginably bad situations. We have fought against dawn raids. We have had the Glasgow Girls in Glasgow. We have had a huge amount of civic action against taking our people away. The changes that have been made here, the Minister and the Shadow Front Bench also mentioned the immigration backlog. It would be much better if the UK Government were to focus on ensuring that the immigration system works, ensuring that those people who have applied for visas get a decision within a year and a half, within 3 years, given some of the casework that I have been facing. They need to ensure that they're doing that. It would be much better if, when they were looking at the migration system for those people that they have put in hotels, for example, that they did not randomly move people from hotels in Aberdeen to hotels in Glasgow while they're moving people from hotels in Glasgow to hotels in Aberdeen, moving people who are in Aberdeen waiting for an operation to London or to other places in England with absolutely no notice and absolutely no justification for doing that, apart from the fact, of course, that they get free legal advice in Scotland and they've got to start from scratch again if they are moved to England in order to continue their asylum case, given that the law is different in the two countries and the legal systems are different. Madam Deputy Speaker, it has been our long-held position that we oppose the Conservatives' rhetoric on this, we oppose the Conservatives' ideology on this, and particularly we oppose the Rwanda policy. Therefore, we will be dividing the House on this motion. We will be voting against this motion, and we will be calling the vote on this. It is the last day of Parliament. We are not going to compromise on our principles simply because it would be more convenient for the Labour Party were we to do so. We are going to stick by them. This is consistent with all of the positions that we've held previously, and we will vote against this motion.
Minister?
My apologies, Madam Deputy Speaker. I will close this debate. I'll open the closing of this debate by paying tribute to the Honourable Gentleman for Cardiff West, who has been my shadow in what feels like a lot longer than 7 months, but it really hasn't been. I'm not completely convinced, Madam Deputy Speaker, by his claim of strong borders with Labour, but I'm sure the electorate will sort that out in the next few weeks. But I would say that he has been extremely decent in his dealings with me. I'm not going to give way. Well, go on, I will give way then.
I apologise. I should, in my remarks, have also thanked him for the courteous way in which he's dealt with the opposition spokespeople. And I do thank him for that.
For the benefit of the people in the Strangers Gallery up above, it isn't normal for politicians across the dispatch box to be so nice to each other. It gets a lot worse than this normally, but I'm very grateful to the Honourable Gentleman for his words.
Would the Minister give way on the topic of being nice?
I'm really not sure that I should sully... No, I will give. Of course I will give way.
I appreciate that this is perhaps the most contentious bits of legislation that we have to deal with it in the wash-up, but I wanted to thank him for the constructive approach that he has always adopted towards the business, and in particular to the Select Committee, the Justice Select Committee that I've chaired, and the way he's engaged with us on a number of difficult issues over the time that he's been in post.
Madam Deputy Speaker, I'm extremely grateful for the kind words of the Honourable and Learned member, my neighbour in this House, a man I've known for more than 25 years. And if the House will indulge me, I first met the Honourable Member for Bromley and Chislehurst when he defeated my wife in the selection. For the Bexley and Bromley London Assembly constituency. We overcame that particular bump in the road very swiftly, and he's been very much a guiding light and mentor to me for the quarter of a century that has elapsed since. He's somebody that I have consistently looked up to, perhaps not physically, but certainly in every other sense, Madam Deputy Speaker. I'm also grateful for the opportunity in closing this debate to take... There's going to be a lot of valedictory speeches which my honourable friend is going to lead off on in a moment, but I would like to personally mark this point, because whilst many honourable and right honourable members will be retiring from this House today, and that is inevitable when an election comes around, I would like to pay a personal tribute to my right honourable friend, the member for Maidenhead, who has been an exceptional public servant. 27 years in this House, and when you take her local government experience in the London Borough of Merton beforehand, public service that extends for more than 3 decades. She personifies, in my humble opinion, all that is best about public servants: selflessness and devotion to duty and to the people that she seeks to represent. As with yourself, Madam Deputy Speaker, the House will not be the same without my right honourable friend, and I wanted to get this onto the record. Honourable members, I am grateful for the contributions to this debate. This SI is a key element of implementing the Legal Migration Act, and as I said at opening this debate, it's being considered today to ensure that it is ready for IMA commencement after the election. I note the comments from the Honourable Lady from Aberdeen North. I disagree with them profoundly, but that will be no surprise to her, because she disagrees with my position profoundly, and I think that is perfectly okay, so we will obviously contest this division. By laying this SI, the Ministry of Justice has complied with the Lord Chancellor's statutory obligations under Section 50 of the IMA and ensured that the appropriate rules and procedures are in place for when the duty to remove is commenced. And with that, Madam Deputy Speaker, I therefore beg to move.
The question is, as on the order paper. As many as are of that opinion say aye. Aye. The contrary, no. No! The question is, as on the order paper. As many as are of that opinion say aye. Aye. Contrary, no. Tellers for the ayes, Mark Fletcher and Mark Jenkinson. Tellers for the noes, Kirsty Blackman and Chris Stevens. Order. Order.
The ayes to the right, 135. The noes to the left, 10.
Thank you. The ayes to the right, 135. The noes to the left, 10. So the ayes have it, Unlock.